I'm Casey Viera. The San Antonio Spurs have run ice cold. Something to worry about, or should we all just kind of hit the brakes a little bit?
This is Jeff Garcia, host of Locked On Spurs, and kind of what Casey said. I'll sum it up this way. The Spurs are seeing a lot of red of late.
And I'm Devin Brown. Hey, I'm just glad to be here with you guys. Let's have a great show.
This is Locked On Spurs Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Spurs talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Spurs Squad Show starts now.
And that it does. Welcome into another edition right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in all of the land. The host of the title pod in the middle, Jeff Garcia, NBA champion Devin Brown, hanging out with us. My name is Casey Viera. We have a lot to talk about, some good, some bad, some expected, and thinking a little bit ahead, so to speak. As we mentioned, the shooting woes have been there, how the Spurs fixed it, plus what we will see, perhaps, of whether or not Victor Wembanyama will have a say in fixing all those struggles. Plus, trade deadline actually 1 month away from today, February 5th. We'll float some ideas out there, and we'll look ahead to what's a very interesting, very unique kind of setup that the Spurs have for the month of January. But we can start tonight with some of those shooting woes, because as a whole, San Antonio has found a little bit of a rut over the past 5 games. And it's been a little bit of everybody who's slowed down in that process. Over the last 5, they have shot under 33% in 4 of those 5 games. And as a result, have dropped 2 of those 3. A lot of them, all of them, basically, essentially, to teams that they probably are favored to win, to get the better of. And now we wonder, are some of those concerns that we had at the start of the season about this team and their inability to get the shots going, create offense out of the half court, are those real things? So, Devin, you hit lead off first tonight. Where are we at with this right now? Is this the valid concerns, or so we thought valid at the start of the year, come to light, or should we all kind of hit the pause button a little bit?
Well, I mean, what we're seeing is, this is what kind of happens in the course of a season. Guys tend to lose their legs. And I mean, think about all the miles that they've been traveling. It's a lot, on their bodies. And so, shots are coming up short. But, the thing about it is when you see Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox and Wemby when he's in there going through these struggles, that should be a main concern for Mitch. Your other guys are what we call streaky shooters. So whatever you get out of them, you'll get. Dev and Vassell's, I'd say he's a streaky shooter as well. But anyway, so when you have Barnes struggling and then you're not getting anything from, some of the other guys, now you're in a real problem because, Jeff, we've already talked about where we stand with Castle and Harper. They're developing into becoming shooting guards, but right now we know where they stand, right? So guys like Harrison Barnes are going to have to lead the way. De'Aaron Fox is going to have to get going, and Wemby whenever he comes back. So that's how I'm looking at it right now.
Over the past 5 games, like I mentioned, I'm going to read the numbers here. These are the past 5 games. Utah from shooting from 3. Utah, they go 10 of 44, a loss. Cleveland of 7 of 31, a loss. The Knicks game, a win, they go 14 of 38. But if you get rid of Champagne's 11 of 17, that's 3 of 21, everybody else, a win. Indy, they go 13 of 46, a win, but they went through a stretch in the third quarter where they missed all 12 of their threes. Portland, 10 of 31, a loss. Numbers not gaudy, Jeff, but you're the stats guy, you're the analytical one, and you're the one who really expanded the thought process, the numbers, to indicate that this has not gone particularly well.
I don't know, guys. Are the viewers ready to watch this? See this thing on there? Ooh, that's ugly, isn't it? That's a lot of red. That's a lot of red. I guess it's holiday season, so I guess green and red. Maybe the Spurs are that kind of mood right now. But yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie. You see it on your screen now. This is via Synergy. I mean, pick a spot on the court, and likely the Spurs are not shooting well. Top of the key, you see the numbers there, 32%, 21% from the corner. I mean, you all can see for yourself. Even in the paint, where I thought they would be excelling if their shot's not falling. You got guys like a slash at the rim, Fox, Harper, Castle. The list goes on. And yeah, it's still shooting a below league average right now, 57%. This is troubling. This is very troubling. This is the league where you live by the three and you die by the three. And the Spurs right now are dying by the three. And something's got to give, guys. I'm with Devin. I think this is just a rut they're in right now. They'll snap out of it. I think they hit their wall a little earlier than anticipated. I think that's what you're seeing. You have long road trips to start this season, cup run, the Thunder games, the list goes on and on. I think it just caught up to them, and their legs, as Devin, you pointed out, I think it's catching up to them. It's not under them. It's just funny, though, because early in the season, I had a conversation with Champagne about this topic, this exact topic. I said, Julian, heading to the season, a lot of guys looked at your team and said, hey, if you're going to beat the Spurs team, let them go wild from the three or deep two. They ain't going to make them. And he stood there, and of course he's going to say this, but he went down the entire locker room with me. I mean, literally, he walked me to every guy's locker room. He said, Castle can make them. Fox can make them. Cassell can make them. The list goes on and on. So I feel that they're confident. I think they'll snap out of it. But are we seeing a little bit of the effect of not having Vassell on the floor, Devin? Prior to his injury, he hit on 37% of his three-point shooting this season. I think you're maybe seeing a little bit of his absence right now. And, of course, Wemby, he's in and out of the lineup now. He's I guess, somewhat of a reliable three-shot shooter. But nevertheless, guys, I think something that was key for this team is not living up right now. And I think it's something they need to address if this thing gets any worse or it continues. I know we're going to talk about that at the trade deadline talk. So, I mean, I think I'm just going to go back and say I think this is just a rut they're in right now.
Devin, when you mentioned streak shooters and the idea of, you go through, it's like a home run hitter,
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, you just go and you send up there, and the purpose is that you're just hoping for contact, and, 2 out of those 10 times, if that, they'll hit a homer. The other 8, they're going to strike out. How does, I guess, a shooter's mentality on that front, on that level, kind of stay level-headed and not get lost, especially when the team collectively is going through something like they're going right now? How does that kind of stay level and not spiral?
Well, like our teams, when we played, if we didn't have Tim in the lineup, who are you going to throw it to that's going to command that attention to where when you get that shot in the corner, it's a rhythm shot and not a rush shot? Well, that's what these guys are going through right now. You don't have a Wemby, on the deal. And, I love Luke Cornett, to death and what he brings to the team. But if I throw it to him on the block, I can't think of any. I don't even know where he's from, but it would only be his high school team that would double team him, and the NBA teams don't play them. So you're not going to double Cornett on the block. So these shots that they're taking, and when I saw that chart, it's alarming because everything in the mid-range, there was not a spot that they've taken over 20 shots. But when you look at the outside, the three-point, you're 46 from the one wing, and I'm talking about their attempts, 46 and 44 and 46. That's a lot. And then it's really alarming when you're only 9 of 25 from that right corner, our left of our screen, because that's Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson area right there. So it's really, concerning, because those threes that are coming from the top, that's Harper, Fox, Castle. So they're starting to launch a lot more threes. And Jeff, we had talked about it. They've been at their best is getting into that lane.
Yep.
And when you see these numbers, you're not getting any of that. So the best thing you can do, right now with Wemby being out of the lineup is to try and get to the rim, or, to answer your question, Casey, it's always been, when you shoot it, it's either going to go in or it's not. There's not much else you can do besides, get extra shots up at practice. But when it comes to a game, your heart's beating a little bit different. So, hey, with some of these guys, it's, when they shoot it, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And after the game versus the Blazers, I believe Mitch Johnson, said, he's still gonna have these guys shoot. He's gonna talk about you still take the shots. And Devin, I guess it's true in the NBA, the only way to shoot out of yourself out of a slump is to keep shooting.
Keep shooting.
So who knows how long this could last. But what baffles me is just the collective, just collectively, they're not hitting their shots. I understand maybe if Barnes cools off a bit, he had a hot start. Okay, fine, I get that. Or Keldon, his shot has improved, but he's never been a reliable three. But for them just completely to start missing shots outside of Champagny, this is concerning. So that's why I really believe this is just them hitting the wall a little earlier in the season.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, Casey, real quick.
No. Go ahead.
And I gotta emphasize, you gotta remember, with Wemby not being out there, there's now all eyes are on these guys. So they're having to find these shots instead of Wemby getting them easy shots. Sorry, go ahead, Casey.
You led me to the next point I was gonna kind of allude to. Because for as well as they played without Victor, for the most part, it was only a matter of time that they hit a regression. Maybe regression's not too strong of a term, but for the sake of the conversation, essentially a regression, a wall, figured out, so to speak. Do you think, from what you've seen through these past 5 games or so, where they haven't looked great, even in the wins, that collectively that other bunch outside from Victor have been kind of figured out a little bit?
Okay, that's for me. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. In the middle of asking, I was going to start looking at my deal. If this is my thoughts on this, depending on, I can't remember a couple of the people that they've played here in the past, but you have coaches that do so much scouting. All right. And then not even like, say, your 2 or 3 top assistants, because a lot of these teams are carrying 7, 8 coaches. You have these young coaches that are watching so much film, Wemby in the lineup, Wemby out of the lineup, certain lineups that Mitch plays. They have all that stuff broken down, right? So when the Spurs go to certain lineups at certain parts of the game, other teams will know, hey, listen, this is not a good lineup when it comes to the 3, so we'll give that up. I mean, it's that detailed. The NBA is that detailed. So, I think they're running into a problem where if you're Castle or Fox or somebody else, and Harrison Barnes is 0 of 4, well, in the first few games, you've had someone else step up. Well, now they're not hitting their shots. Well, your leader, Fox, if he's 0 for 4 for the game and Harrison doesn't have anything, now you're in deep trouble.
What I find interesting, though, is that even if their shot is not falling, so we're seeing it over the last 3 games especially, then why not just run on these teams? Just run on them. And what's even more frustrating for me is fine, even heading into this new season, all 3 of us saw this coming, that this was probably an issue that's going to pop its head up a few times this season. It's popping its head up right now. Okay, fine. If you can't stop them from making threes, then, just stop them from making threes. If you're not going to make them, just defend the 3. And that's what's frustrating me more, is because I'm at these games, these home games, and I'm seeing wide open shots for the opposition. And I'm like, just run them off the 3 line. No, they're not. You saw the Knicks go crazy from the 3 line. We saw the Blazers. We saw the Jazz. Casey, I thought we had good perimeter defenders.
Well, that's the type of thing that scares me a little bit, because it's one thing with this team if the shot's not falling, but they're getting stops, they're getting turnovers, and amazingly enough, for as many threes as Portland hit in that first half and first 3 quarters of that game, when they did get stops, the Spurs got stops. It felt like they sleptwalked through 95% of that game, didn't play great, even though it was still relatively competitive. And next thing you know, they're within 1 point with a minute to go. So I think that's if you want to play the glass half full side of that dynamic, yeah, it's true. But when you're hitting less than a third of your threes, and the other team's hitting 40% of their threes, because you're late to get out there, you're late to close out. I think even Victor and Mitch this week both said that, that it's an effort thing, and they were critical of everybody else's effort. You're not going to win. You're not going to win many games when you do that, and that's very cautionary going forward, especially without Victor in the equation, really for any team. But now without Victor in the equation as a whole, but I think you're on the money with that, and that at least would be enough to, tidy this thing up. And can it tidy up? Yeah.
I think it
mean,
can.
I why not? But I think Devin, I think we've just seen enough at this point to get a pretty good idea of what they are. And that is, they're a streak shooting team for the most part. They're a streak shooting team. I mean, Champagny hit that 11-17 against the Knicks, and he responded 2 of 11 against the Pacers. That's just what they are.
The Pacers. I thought he was practicing lobs to Cornet with some of the areas his shots were hitting. But that's what that's a hard back-to-back though. San Antonio to Indiana. That's like 2 hours and 15 minutes on the plane, and then you're landing in snow. I mean, that's tough. But I wanted, Casey, real quick, you have time? I wanted to hit on something you said about defense.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, you have Castle and Harper. De'Aaron Fox has his money. All right. Castle, you look up at it, he's got 20 points, whatever it is. Harper's having a tremendous year, scoring here, scoring there. Let me tell you something. Pop got on Tony about that. Being in double figures, but not playing on the other end. Once Tony got his money, Tony, Manu, Tim understood the assignment, and Tim held them accountable. That's what you don't have with this group, is you don't have somebody that's going to hold Castle, okay? He's a good defender, but he gets lost defensively sometimes. Harper needs to start playing a little bit more defense for me.
Yeah, he does.
All right? So you don't have Fox. It should be Fox and Barnes and Vassell and Keldon holding these guys accountable, because I'll tell you what, you get 200 miles an hour out of them going in on the other end. And another guy that held a lot of people accountable when I was playing was Bruce Bowen. Held a lot of people accountable, whether he was on the court or not on the court. All right? So you don't – right now I feel like when they're in film, it's just Mitch talking. It needs to be players talking, because that's where it starts, the head of the snake. All right? Castle and Harper. And if they're getting beat constantly, it breaks everything down.
Go ahead, Jeff. You got last word.
No, I was gonna say, like, I more not necessarily the last word, more like the last question for myself is, this is concerning, their shot not falling, but when does it become alarming? That's for me. Is this just a rut? Are we gonna be okay? Another 2 more games? Well, Spurs, we know what happened. Y'all just couldn't make your threes or your shots. When does this become more than just a concern? Because I don't want to see them just completely fall apart and the book is out on them. Look, Wemby's out. Dare them to shoot. You got yourself a shot beating the Spurs.
I got another concern, Victor Wembanyama's health. And coming up on the other side of the break, we got an update on his status for the Memphis game tomorrow, Tuesday. And we take a little bit look at a broader picture about what we see out of this team now, what we see out of Victor, given that he is hurt once again, missed the last 2 games. Got that and a little bit more coming up for you on the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we get to all that fun, let's talk about some of our friends that help drive this program. That, of course, including Prize Picks, bringing you this episode tonight in part. And whether you're starting a new routine, jumping into player projections for the first time, or trying something new, it could feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend, elite basketball almost every single night, the action, it never slows down. In Prize Picks, they let you stay in control. It's daily fantasy, and it makes watching sports even that much more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. So if you've been taking the Spurs, messing around with that, and the 3-pointers made, it probably hasn't been a good couple weeks or so. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less the way that you like to play your game. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after your first 5 with Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, one more thing we want to tell you about, of course, the Everydayer Club, as you know, hanging out with us here on Locked On Spurs, as we always do. We appreciate for making us your first listen of the day, and the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the land, because of the everydayers like yourself. So if you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. In your words, it's got a lot of really cool things that I guess you could say. Access to a free audio feed for not only the Spurs, but everybody, every team, every day, as we like to say around here, compatible wherever you get your podcast, and get cool things like a members only Discord. And we hang out in there as well to talk about the game, or, all the happenings that come along with the San Antonio Spurs. So go to that link on your screen right there, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer for more information on that. Conversation carries on about Victor Wembanyama, because the last time we all got together, fellas, things were looking pretty good going into that New York Knicks game, to which Wemby got hurt and subsequently missed the next 2 games due to a left knee hyperextension. Spurs now saying it's downgraded to a left knee bone bruise. Doesn't sound particularly endearing either way. What we wonder now is whether or not the setbacks will continue, or resume, or pause, or whatever it may be, because we saw that there was very much a level of restriction that was put on getting him up to speed, only to have him hyperextend this knee, miss 2 more games. If he were to miss the Memphis game, he's listed as questionable. It would be 15 games that he's sat. Jeff, where is your level of concern at right now, knowing that he was back for all but 18 days before getting hurt again, unfortunately?
My level of concern, if you're going to go 1 to 10 being panic mode, I'm at a 6. It's encouraging news. He's questionable for tomorrow night's game versus Memphis, so that's good. He seemed very positive. I mean, to speak after he got hurt, saying, "Hey, I'm good. It's all fine. But I'm at a 6, not necessarily because of this injury, is because I feel like, all right, Wemby, you got over this knee injury. All right, you're back whenever that day comes. Like, I'm at the point, guys, I'm saying, okay, what's next? What's next? What's the next thing that's going to hit him and sideline him for a few more games? Because he needs to be out there, plain and simple. And Devin, I agree with you. Rub some dirt on that, whatever it is. You got to get out there. You got to play through it. But the problem is he's the franchise guy. They're not going to let him do that, although he does want to play. So here's where I'm thinking what to do. Why not go back to having him coming off the bench? Maybe not for the rest of the season. Maybe it's just a little bit longer than when you had him originally. It seemed to have worked. The Spurs were winning. And look, he's a guy you don't permanently put on the bench. I get that. But if they're going to treat every little nick and bump and bruise as if it's, major catastrophe, then just let him do his thing off the bench. And as we get closer to, the later stage of the season, and, start bringing him back to the starting lineup. What do you got to lose? You got everything to gain. You minimize injury risk. You have him available longer than what he has proven over his career. And then when he's all rested and dandy and ready to go, all right, back in the starting lineup, we got a stretch run to take care of. Am I crazy here, guys? Am I crazy? I mean, this could work.
No, you're not crazy. Because we got past crazy the first time we saw him come off the bench. Excuse me, not the first time. I would say the first time we saw him come off the bench, I think a lot of us were like, oh, it's a little weird, but you know what? They're going against the heavyweight Thunder. Why not try something outside the box? OKC's won 1 million games in a row, and it worked. And then we saw them against the Knicks, and like, okay, it worked last time. Let's try it again. Then they got back from Vegas, and they did it one more time. And I think we were kind of like, all right, yeah, this is getting a little weird. But I don't think they lost the entirety of the time. They didn't lose the entirety of the time that he came off the bench. But it's interesting, though, Devin, because, the bench, with the exception of the Indiana game, has not played particularly well since they moved Victor off of it. I highly doubt that they're going to move him back on it for a sustained period of time. And the immediacy, maybe, perhaps, but it kind of makes it think. I don't know. I'm not sure. Devin, where is your Jeff gave it a 6? Where is your level of concern at?
I'm gonna. Sorry, guys. I gotta go back to my playing days on this and side with Victor, because when you think about someone that's 7'5", what is the ideal weight? I go back to George Mirasan. He was a dud. Yao Ming was dominant at 7'5", but he weighed like 3 whatever. Well, you have a unique guy in Wemby who can do a little bit of everything, has a very unique game. Well, what the Spurs can't figure out and what Victor hasn't figured out yet is what is going to make him successful as far as his weight. Because a lot of these injuries, these little nicks and things like that, it has to do with not being able to be in the weight room. We all know, and I'll say it again, that European players, they're not as soft as they used to be, but weights are not their concern. And I know that they've been playing since 14 and 15 and pro and all that. That's great. All right. But that's what makes us different, as far as the Americans go, is because we know you got to get in that weight room. If you want to, go through a whole season, you got to get in the weight room. You got to get in the weight room during the season. And I've seen guys get in the weight room, maxing out on different days, right? Getting your shooting in and things like that. So you can help your body get through this long season. On a panic scale, if I had to give it a number, like I said, I'm at a 4, just because I think Victor is figuring out, his body at the end of the day. All right. Now, the second part of your question, the coming off the bench. Let's see. Steph Curry's making $57 million. I know Wemby's going to be up there if he can stay healthy. He's going to be up there because he's going to be the face of the league for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not coming off the bench for me, Casey. It's a lot of dinero.
Yeah, it is.
Many of dinero. I'm. It's a tough spot because you look at the history of the league. You mentioned Mirasan, you mentioned Yao, Sean Bradley. To a certain extent, Embiid.
There's going to be the few that I can think of that excel.
Well, the point that I'm getting at is they say Father Time is undefeated. Every archetype, every build of that 7-4 and up, it's had the same ending. I don't have the full science to prove that, but it's had the same ending. And so when you see something like this, him miss a month, come back, not even 3 weeks, get hurt again, miss at least 2 games, you wonder, just because history is history. That's all if you've been watching the NBA for the entirety of its existence, that's pretty much what it's been. So it's hard not to feel that way. But I think what kind of we're seeing right now is that, and you guys know I'm the advocate for it, is if they got to get him on that Embiid type of deal, things like that. I go on here all the time. It's very hard for me to be critical of something when I'm open of him missing time, when I've gone on here and openly advocated for him to be cautious. So if this is it, if this is them doing not exactly what I say, but in the ballpark of what I'm saying, then okay, fine. But I'm concerned, Jeff. I'm probably with you. I'm probably at the 6 mark. I'm probably at the 6.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. And look, if they got to low manage him, fine. But guess what, Wemby? You're probably not going to qualify for some of those awards down the road. And by the way, that might hurt your pocketbook down the road as well. I mean, is he willing to concede that if it means a prolonged season? Look, he's going to get paid no matter what. Supermax, max, no matter what. It's a lot of money that I will never see in my lifetime, unless your name is Casey Viera. But
I wish.
Yeah. But nevertheless, yeah. I mean, that's something they got to really. He has to consider himself. Because we're getting to that point now where he's gonna. I think the 65 game rule is still in effect, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to qualify for awards, 65 or more. Mm-hmm. So he's getting close to that mark where you cannot miss any more. So that's where I think if that's in play and his health and what the Spurs want to preserve him and their record and a push for the playoffs, that's a lot to consider. Something's going to have to give. All right. And does he give on the 65-point game mark, and sacrifice some of these awards? Maybe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he loves that money. Who doesn't? That's going to kick in as well. But all in all, no, this is a dilemma for the Spurs. And he's going to have to – I'm going to need to see him play a little longer than a few weeks once he returns from this current injury because they already have double-figure losses. Luckily for them, they're holding on to that second spot. And luckily for them, Thunder had dropped a few games. So it's not like the Thunder have ran away with it since the Spurs have been losing of late. But something's going to have to give soon. But when I was thinking about NBA bigs, like Wemby's size and height, the only one I could think of that really had perhaps a really good prolonged career, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this, Devin, maybe Mark Eaton.
Mark Eaton, yeah.
Yeah, he had a
Utah Jazz legend right there.
Yeah, he had at his height and his size, he was a big boy and he was tall, just like Wemby.
I'll tell you what, I know who he played for. He played for Jerry Sloan. I played for Jerry Sloan. And I would love for you or Wemby to go into Jerry Sloan's office with an injury. That's why Mark Eaton had a good career, because Jerry Sloan was not playing that. He was like, don't come in here with that. You're not hurt. It's in your mind. You're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'll take this brace off and play.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's like the only one that I could think of that had some sort of sustained career at his height. When I was in the Wemby height range there. But even that's a concern, Casey. That's a concern because there's more proof it not working to players of that height than they do work. Maybe, I don't know, maybe throw in Manute Bol, maybe. But other than that, no. I think there's so much going on with Wemby, and it's beyond just the physical. It's the money, it's the games, it's the playoff push. It's so much is riding on his shoulders, and it has a ripple effect throughout the team.
I'm sorry, Casey.
No. I go ahead. I was just curious. I was looking at Mark Eaton's. 7'4", 275 to be exact. Yeah.
What was that again, Casey?
7'4", 275. Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jeff, is, these agents, when you do have a player in this, you have to have a plan B, right? And they're like, no, we'll make up for that money, off the court. So if you guys, in San Antonio want Wemby to come to an appearance, it's probably going to be a very expensive appearance. But here's the thing. I'm just going to throw this out there. Let's say, and the Spurs are having a tremendous year. All right. But let's say that the organization, is looking at it, Brian Wright's looking at it like, man, we're ahead of schedule. Like, we're not expecting this. And I say that because they're still keeping an eye on what a season with Wemby's actually going to look like, fully healthy. Nicks and bruises, seeing how many games that they can get at him. Yet what is this for Wemby? 3? This year 3 or? Yeah.
Year 3, yeah.
So if they're going, well, hey, we put this team together. We're still trying to figure out Wemby, yet they've been winning all these games, get to the cup finals, whatever. But they're going, hey, this thing's still going to be a couple of years in our book, but it's great that the team is doing this right now. But we're trying to figure out what we're going to do long-term with Wemby at the end of the day.
Too, Devin, do you think even after this season, just moving forward, will we ever get at minimum a 70 game season from Wemby? Do you think that was ever possible? I don't think we'll ever get an 82 game season out of him.
Not the way he plays. Not the way he plays. Yeah. He's going to give you everything that he has, and no.
I'm not putting my house on it. No.
Yeah, no.
It was 71 his rookie season.
Did you see the last time he was in a game, the little 2-on-1 in the lane late in the game, and then he dove on the floor?
I saw that, yeah.
When I saw that, I have a lot of respect for somebody that does that, and that's your franchise player. Jeff, you 82 games? No, you're not going to get that.
That ain't going to happen, yeah. I don't think that would ever happen.
I'm glad you guys got into Brian Wright and roster construction and building around Wemby, because that's a perfect segue. And we got coming up on the other side of the break. The trade deadline is exactly 1 month away from today. So we'll discuss who's going where, who isn't, what the Spurs need, they don't need, and make the most of it. Wear the GM hat in place of Brian Wright coming up on the other side of the break here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. But as always, before we get there, let's have another conversation about another one of our sponsors. All right, business owners, listen up. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us are looking at how we run things in our business, and we think there's just got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. It's the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're working more efficient. You're creating opportunities to connect with customers right from your phone. You can even keep your existing number. They have a smart AI tool, multiple AI tools, plural, and they automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight the next step. So details, they never slip through the cracks. So it's no surprise they're rated as the #1 business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year the one where no opportunity, no customer slips away. Try it for free, 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba, quo.com/lockedonnba with Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. It is time to act like we know what we're doing when it comes to building a roster here on the Spurs Squad Show, right here on Locked On Spurs. Host of the title pod, Jeff Garcia in the middle, Devin Brown, NBA champion. I'm Casey Viera. 1 month from today, we will be seeing perhaps some players go in, some players go out, perhaps the Spurs filling some voids where they're at, perhaps fan base is saying, what are you doing? Why didn't you get that? Why didn't you get this? What do the Spurs need right now? Should they make a move? Where they make a move? Jeff, what is your overriding sentiment at this point of what holes they need to fix, reasonably can fix, come February 5th?
Yeah, I hear a lot of Trey Murphy III out of the Pelicans, but the latest report out of Mark Stein is that Pelicans, they don't want to deal him. So if that's true, well, then you can scratch that off your list. I think it's obvious. I think they need to address their outside shot. I think they need to do that. You know, a perfect guy I think would have fit well if they could have got him in the offseason was a Luke Kennard. I think that would have been just perfect. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, yeah, I think you scour to see what teams are out there that are willing to deal with a shooter. It could be a guy off the bench. You know, I think the other move they're going to have to really consider and likely will happen is Jeremy Sohan. I think we know the writing's on the wall for him. You know, do him a solid, get him somewhere. Maybe that's a playoff-bound team where he can be experience that. But overall, guys, I don't see any blockbuster moves. Wake up in the morning and it's 2 a.m. and I get a text from Devin and it's like, what did you see with the Spurs make this deal overnight? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think, if anything, it'll probably be just a Sohan move, maybe Olynyk, maybe Bismack. But no, I think they just need to address shooting. I think that's about it. That's all I can think of, Devin. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know, it may be blockbuster, it may not be, but you definitely need outside shooting. But I think you need to pair Victor with a big that is mobile, where the other guy can actually do a lot of the dirty work, and Victor just gotta be the guy that roams. Oh, there is a guy out there that does that. Oh, but anyway, I don't know if they'll go get him, but you need someone like that. You need someone that can play alongside Victor, and just so Victor can kind of like stay away from some of these injuries. That's just what I'm thinking, Casey.
That market really.
Can I also real fast, real quick?
Yeah, go.
Devin, it's for us, but mainly Devin. Devin, why is it that they can find Luke Cornett easy on a pick and roll dunk than they can do with Wemby? You notice that? You notice that? How many pick and roll dunks does Cornett get? Almost every game.
Well, I mean, you want I'm going to tell you my honest answer when I'm watching the game. Sometimes Casey knows this because I yell at the TV a lot.
Yeah.
You got to want to pass it to him.
Okay. It's as simple as that. Just wanting to pass it.
Listen, there's some of the guys on this roster that are not afraid of a Luke Cornett getting a little bit of attention, doing his thing. You know, they're not worried about that. Hey, man, Victor gets a lot of attention. Victor gets all the attention when it comes to San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
And you got a couple guys on the right. They you know, they've been doing some things. They don't like that. So you got to want to pass it to them because, man, from the TV, at least from the TV, I see Victor open a lot, Jeff. I see him open a lot.
Well, I'm at the games and I'm like, okay, that's what, like 5 pick and roll dunks with Cornett and Castle, Cornett and Harper, Fox.
Hey, Jeff, I told you, you gotta want to pass it to him. So, I don't know. Sometimes it seems like the ball gets stuck.
To pass it to Wemby.
Yeah, the ball gets stuck in their hand. They're like, my fault. Yeah. But with Cornett, they're like, oh.
Well, there it is, Casey. Trade for a guard that wants to toss it to Wemby. How's that?
There you go.
I tell you what, they better start learning the passing thing because shooting had the past couple weeks. So, maybe the passing's the way to go. The market, it feels like, to get someone premier to fill in. It feels like the ship is kind of passed. Like we've heard marketing forever, but Utah is playing well, reasonably speaking, in the sense that they look like they have some sort of foundation basis that I don't think they want to move Markkanen for the sake of just moving him and getting a rebuild. You know, George over there, he's been playing fantastic as well. Trey Murphy thing, like, I can't see a world where if the Spurs come knocking and they're like, hey, just take the picks, whatever, you know, if we have to overpay because we get another wing, just another body, and it probably makes us firmly in the contention, you know, in terms of that next step going forward. I think New Orleans, you're not going anywhere. You're not like you're firmly in the bottom of the league, but it seems like, and from the sense that the Spurs have been played very well, as we know to this point, they're not going to do anything, in my mind, overly seismic. Devin, I want to get your perspective, though, because the most reasonable, I guess, kind of thought of a player to be moved on from, obviously, is Sochan. I know you've been traded a couple times in your career. What is, and I don't know if it's to the extent of what might be happening with Sochan, where they probably are just working on something. I've already told him ahead of time that you'll be, you know, we'll get you a spot by February. Give us the player's perspective on that front, where if that conversation is already happening, that we're going to get you a new job, a new spot somewhere, just wait a month. What are those conversations like?
Well, they're tough, but you know, it is what it is, right? So you have to know that you're going to be at another destination, whether it's at the end of the season or if it's going to be before February. So you have to maintain yourself and your body to be ready, because when you get to your next stop, your role may increase a whole lot more than it was at your previous stop. So that's why I was saying in past shows for Sochan to be the first one at practice, be the last one to leave, make it to where when San Antonio does do something, when they do, at the end of the day, they go, you know what? The last month he was here, he was great. And I think we pulled the trigger on that a little too fast, as opposed to saying something else. Man, he was burning up the house from the inside. We had to get rid of him. So, Casey, you have to, you know, just know that in your mind, you know, you can go from not playing to your next stop. You could be starting and playing 30 minutes. So you just always have to be ready.
I try to think of a reasonable scenario in which that it works here for him. If there's any kind of Hail Mary play, I just don't think it's there. I just don't think it's there. And
Casey, there have been Hail Mary plays for him. There have been.
Yeah.
Wemby's out. They need size. They need just bigs, just guys out there. It hasn't really panned out.
Mhm.
Oh my God, we need our shooting's horrible right now. Well, we can't rely on Jeremy for that, so he's got to stay on the bench. What else? Rotation. People fouled out. There's been opportunity for him, and I mean, how many coaches DMPs have we seen so far this season? Lindy Waters is getting more burn than Jeremy Sohan right now. What more can you say? The writing's on the wall. I don't think the Spurs are going to trade him just to trade him because, he's not playing, got to trade him. I don't think that's it. But he is currently an asset they can use. And if they do make a deal, they're probably not getting anything huge. They're not going to get a Trey Murphy for Sohan, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. That ain't going to happen. You got to throw in a lot more than just Jeremy Sohan. So, yeah. But all in all, yeah, nobody should be surprised if he gets traded, but also nobody should be surprised if he doesn't get traded and he tests the free agency waters, see what the market is for him. He's a restricted free agent. Maybe the Spurs are just playing that card right now. Just see what the market is, and if it's something we can match, all right, stay on board. If not, then it was nice knowing you, Sohan. Good luck to you.
Mock trades. No, go ahead.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it, Jeff, because you wouldn't. That's doing a player wrong. I can get it, but you don't. The NBA really doesn't do that when it comes to the money like that.
Okay.
Now, and we don't know. I don't know this, and we don't know this, but I'm just telling you. In past, I've been in situations like this. I believe the Spurs were blowing somebody out, and it was a chance for him to get on the floor. But like I said, when you've started in the league, when you've done all these things, if Mitch went down there to get him and something was said, nah, I ain't going out there, or nah, man, F that. That's a whole different situation, right? So now he's just counting his days if that happened.
Yeah. Hey,
but there's been times when he's had an opportunity. Like I said, they're putting the last guys in there, because it's a blowout or for whatever reason. And he might be the only one with that DMP CD. So something has happened. I'm not in the locker room, Casey. I don't know, but it just doesn't look right from my eyes.
Devin, from your point of view as a former player, who's been through this before, looking from the outside in, do you see it happening? Are all the signs there?
All the signs are there.
Okay.
Something happened. I don't know if it was in practice. I don't know if it was at a game, but something happened. Yes, something happened.
Honestly, it might have happened last year because Mitch and Jeremy Sohan have never, I don't want to, for me to say not on the same page is tremendously ignorant because I'm not in the inner workings of that. But if you're going purely off of a games played, minutes, rotational aspect of it, Jeremy Sohan has never been Mitch Johnson's guy on that front. Comparatively speaking, Pop did everything in his power to make it work with Jeremy, and it just didn't really happen then. Didn't happen last year once Mitch came in, and it certainly, as we know, it hasn't happened this year. It's an interesting tale. It's an interesting tale with Jeremy because a lot went into that pick. It was a lottery pick, a top 10 pick, a lot of hope, and they did felt like every single way, turned every single stone to make it work, and it just didn't. It just didn't, and nor will it probably come February, Jeff.
Here's something, though. So let's just say he does get dealed, right? He's done. He's gone. Trade's over. Will that draft class be considered the worst draft class the Spurs have ever had in recent years? Because that would be him, Malachi, and Wesley.
The caveat to that is that they also got Julian Champagny as an undrafted free agent in that one.
Okay, so but still, the draft class.
If you want to cancel out one of the Brian and Wesley side of it, I think okay. But from a lottery pick, I mean, if we're being honest, the Spurs went through a stretch where it was not looking good. Between Primo the year before, if the goal was to be as bad as you could to tank for Victor, I mean, they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, there you go.
The goal was to miss on lotto picks. They to get big. You hit a home run. But no, they went through a stretch where it wasn't good those few years. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because think about it. Sengun was on the board, and they passed. A couple of other notable guys that were on the board, and they passed for Sohan. I think that year he wasn't even projected to go that high of a first rounder. He was low to second round. That was a lot of the mock draft.
I think he went a spot above J-Dub, if I'm not mistaken.
Man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine J-Dub in silver and black right now?
No, because they wouldn't have gotten Victor.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, that's what
at that time, Victor wasn't on the radar yet. They were scouting him, and but you're right. Maybe they just say, "Whoopsie! Oh no, there goes J-Dub. Oh well, there's Victor also." So,
Deb, you got a last word? Go ahead.
I'm not familiar with any of those guys you're talking about. Broham and Wesley. I thought something about Wesley Snipes or somebody. I don't know any. Primo. I heard that name before, but nah, y'all got me. Hey, listen, I was on the golf course. Y'all got me back into this. I'm following it full time now, but yeah, I don't know any of those guys.
This is the perfect time for Jeff to plug that he did an interview with former Spurs Blake Wesley.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, if you want to find out who Wesley is, Devin Brown. Yeah, I spoke one-on-one with him. I'll catch you up. Speedy point guard out of Notre Dame, first-round pick, same draft class as Sohan. All right, has some promise to start, but I got hit with an MCL injury early in his rookie year. Got assigned to Austin, fell out of rotation. Oh, and then by the way, when he came back healthy, he has a guy by the name of Chris Paul, Steph Castle, then traded De'Aaron Fox ahead of him in the rotation. But surprise, surprise, the knock on him was he couldn't find a shot, and he couldn't find a shot in San Antonio. Gotcha. So that's the quick and dirty Blake Wesley. But a super nice kid, became a defensive pest towards the end of his stay in San Antonio. And he had the occasional really, really good game. But yeah, when you have Castle, Fox, then Harper, and the Chris Paul at the time, the writing's on the wall.
Hey, Jeff, but listen, all those guys playing behind whatever, as long as he got his degree from Notre Dame, he's set for life. Basketball is just a plus.
Yep. There you go.
Yep. I don't have a Notre Dame degree, so it's not looking great for me. Hey, just about time for us to get out of here. Got one more quick break, but before we do, we'll talk about the week ahead, the month ahead, because it's a little bit of a unique setup that the Spurs have laid out in the month of January, starting tomorrow, Tuesday, in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Don't go anywhere. Right here in the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. All right, so check this out. The Spurs, they've already thankfully got one out of the way. In the month of January, play not one, not two, not three, but 4 back-to-backs, starting with, what we saw with Indy and Portland over the weekend. Next one, Memphis, and home for the Lakers on Wednesday. The Western Conference slate, as we know, going to pick up. And the month of January, no different. Got a couple games with Houston, got Oklahoma City. As I just mentioned, the Lakers, Minnesota a couple times as well. We're fast forwarding things. We're looking ahead. Jeff Garcia, what are we learning about this team in your mind in a month from now?
They better bring their A game versus the Jazz. That's them on the 19th. But what are we looking at as far as this team after the month or during this month?
During this month.
Oh, during this month. Well, I'm looking at them to snap out of their shooting struggles, that's for sure, because they're going to need it. They cannot be rolling into Oklahoma City not firing all cylinders, to tell you that much. Same thing with Minnesota. No. If the Spurs want to prove themselves to be among the big boys of the West and the NBA, then I need you to prove it versus the Lakers. I need you to prove it versus the Wolves, the Thunder, the Bucks, yes, the Jazz, and the Rockets, because likely some of these West teams are going to face this month. You're probably going to meet them in an opening round series or at minimum a conference semis. So, send out a message. Let these teams know, hey, Minnesota, you had your chance. How many conference finals you've been to? You didn't make it? Okay, well, we're coming now. Hey, Oklahoma City, we beat you 3 times. How about would you like a 4th? How's that? Hey, Houston, we got you once. We'll get you again. I need them to send a clear message to the Western Conference teams that they are for real and they're here. Not now. I mean, not tomorrow, not next season. Now. They're here now.
Spurs are through Monday night, going into Tuesday morning, second seed in the Western Conference, 4 back of Oklahoma City, but only 2.5 up on Minnesota at the 6th spot and 4 games up on Phoenix on the other side of that play-in. So, I mean, if the West is what we knew, it's going to be tight. Very little margin for error. Players' perspective, when it comes to standings, Devin, when do you guys start paying attention?
You're paying attention from day one, depending on what you're built like, right? So in 2005, right away through training camp, you already knew because of the 0.4 situation that happened the year before that, we went into training camp knowing where it was we needed to be, and that's to be the top seed so we can have that home court. So we didn't have to deal with having to go to LA to win a game on the road, things like that. Now, here's my thing, Casey. So you're telling me this schedule's for real? Grizzlies, Lakers, Celtics, T-Wolves, Thunder, Bucks, T-Wolves, Jazz, Rockets, Jazz. Hey, let me tell you something. You know what it reminds me of? And I forget his name, but it's the old basketball coach from North Texas. North Texas used to go play Duke, North Carolina, all these schools, right? Getting all this money. Have you seen their campus lately? Beautiful campus, beautiful campus. Anyway, so it seems like the Spurs are doing that. Like, what are we doing here? But I'll tell you from a player's perspective what you do. You lace it up every single game. This little stretch right here, it's either going to go way bad or you're going to be the San Antonio Spurs team they've been all year, Casey. And I'll tell you what, as a player, you want me to answer that question? You're looking forward to this. You show up every night, and these guys will do that because Coach Mitchell have them ready to play. I know it's a tough stretch, but this is the association. You look forward to this, Casey.
Memphis on deck, Grizzlies, first of that bunch, like I said, currently in the 10th spot in the Western Conference. Ja Morant's questionable. He's got a calf situation. They've lost 4 games in a row. Devin told me once when it comes to playing other teams that are going through it for worse, what do you tell them, Devin?
Hey, listen, we ain't worried about them. We're gonna go get some good barbecue the night before. Well, Isaac Hayes shut down years ago, but we used to go to Isaac Hayes restaurant, get some good soul food. Hey, whoop them and get on out of town.
Jeff, hey, what you got on the title pod tomorrow?
Yeah, well, we are going to preview tomorrow night's game, Spurs Grizzlies. We're actually finally get around to talking about Devin Vassell and his injury, and then a lot of Locked On Spurs fans are leaving comments on the webpage, so we address some of those. Over at kansas5.com, game previews, of course, the latest news. We're coming to Silver and Black, and possibly a one-on-one chat I had with Thiago Splitter about his time in San Antonio.
That was a good one. There was a lot of Spurs representation coming into town this week. So that I know Jeff killed at least 3 birds with one stone with that.
Oh, man. By the way, first time ever I've been to the visitor locker room, conference room in the 20-plus years I've been covering the Spurs. Sitting on that media seat, I never went on that side of the arena until that Blazers game. Because you mentioned it was too many former Spurs on that roster.
Yeah, and the conference room is about as wide as our screens. It is.
Oh, my God.
Positive.
Imagine that conference room when the Spurs and Pistons played in the finals. The Pistons, that was the Pistons conference room. Yeah.
We'll find out. That's probably what it's going to be looking like come April, May.
Hopefully.
National media is going to have fun stuffing in that thing. Anyways. All right. I think that's a good place to call it a night for us here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. Be sure to, as Jeff mentioned, check out the what he's got on deck with the title pod tomorrow. And Devin and I, following the game, Spurs Grizzlies 7:00 tip, we'll be right back here with the Spurs postcast, recapping all the action for better or worse once Spurs Grizzlies go final after, what did I say, 7:00? Yeah, 7:00.
7 o'clock
time. Yeah. As we always do as well, when we sign off on these things, we show you guys love. You're the ones who drive this program. Like I say all the time, you're the ones that make all this possible. You're the reason that, the job is great. And the Locked On Podcast Network is the best podcast network, the #1 in all of the land. So appreciate you guys showing love. Appreciate hanging out with you gentlemen on a Monday night. It's been fun. It's been good. Let's do it again on Thursday, 9 o'clock. I don't know. Sounds like a good time. See you there.
I'm down. I'll see you then.
All right. For those two fellas, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, host of the Title Pod, Jeff Garcia. I'm Casey Viera. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.